Hey guys, I just wanted to go over my predictions for East versus West, set to take place March 29th in Arlington, Texas. Before I get started, I'll say I've seen some comments on YouTube that some people aren't as excited about this card because they don't know some of the pullers on the card. And there are some new pullers on the card. Some guys might not be quite as high level as overall the card might not be quite as high level as some of the other cards, but all the guys on the card are really strong. I personally, legitimately am actually really excited for this card because I like seeing new faces, and just because I'm from America too, and there's more American pullers on the card that we usually wouldn't get to see pull each other. To me personally, that's exciting. I can kind of see why you might be slightly less excited, but to act like any of these guys like are sucky pullers or don't deserve to be on the card is pretty crazy in my opinion. But yeah, I'll get into my predictions now. We have Cody Wood versus Joseph Moranto. This match is, so these guys, Cody Wood's ranked number 1 in the USA at 154, and Joseph Moranto is ranked number 3. This match isn't at 154 though, it's at 170, 77 kilos. I'm not positive what they both walk around at, but I assume that Cody will have the weight advantage. I'm positive that Cody was the one that didn't want the weight cap to be 154 because Joseph just pulled 154 a couple weeks ago, so he can definitely make it. But I heard there wasn't enough time to cut down to 154. So the weight advantage will give the slight edge to Cody. Not saying that if it was at 54 he wouldn't win, but he'll have a little bit more of an advantage with it being heavier. I'm guessing Cody's like low 170s, maybe walking around at 77, 78 kilos, guessing. And Moranto is probably at most 75, maybe 73. I think that, so Cody Wood's very fast and very strong. I think his normal move is a top roller, more side pressure. He does have a good hook too, but I'd say his ace is side pressure or top roll. Joseph Moranto is really strong if he can sink the hook in deep. You probably know Joseph Moranto. He beat Vazgen late last summer, early fall, and he beat Kevin Pelko at King of the Table, which kind of surprised me. Like, I thought he had a chance, but I thought for sure if the match stopped in the hook that Kevin would win, because Kevin doesn't lose in matches that stop in the hook, but this time he did. So I do think that if Joseph can stop Cody in the deep hook and turn it into a war, I do think Joseph can win, but I think Cody's probably just a little bit too strong. I don't think Joseph's going to be able to stop it, and if he does, like, he'll be pretty low. I think if he stops it in a neutral position, he can grind it out and win. If he stops it very near to the pad, within a couple inches, it probably won't be enough. And I think if it turns into a war, the Moranto can pull it out, but I'd go Wood 70%. But I'm really excited to see this one. And hopefully if Wood wins, he can get a good European, a top 10 European puller next time. Then we have Valen Lowe versus Hunter Knopfs. A lot of people think that Hunter is going to dominate Valen. I think so too, unfortunately. I haven't watched all of the interviews with all these guys, by the way, but this one I did watch, and Valen is very calculated in his opinion. He said since they don't have any like opponents, it's hard to tell exactly where Hunter's strength compares to his. But Valen did say in his mind, if he can stop the match, he thinks he has a chance. But there is also a chance that Hunter is just too strong. Hunter is very confident he will win. Funny about Valen Lowe, actually, before he even started arm wrestling, back about maybe around 2010, he messaged me trying to get into it back when he was a teenager. So I've known who Valen Lowe is for probably 15 years before he was even arm wrestling. And he's a good dude, and I'm not like criticizing anyone or like pointing fingers or accusing anyone because it's all free reign. But I do think that Valen Lowe could be possibly naturally, most likely actually, and probably is one of the only ones on the card that is natural. I saw Valen Lowe at IFA Worlds 2023, and back then he was actually 63 kilos. He was 138 pounds. He cut a lot of weight to make that weight, and for anyone that thinks IFA sucks, whether it does or not, keep in mind that Valen Lowe didn't even get top 3 on the right hand. He got second left, but he didn't even get top 3 right. So if he does somehow beat Hunter, obviously he's way heavier now, but that'll kind of show the level. Valen did cut a lot of weight for that weight class, and I believe that he is way, way, way stronger now. Like, I couldn't even say percentage-wise how much stronger he is now. Maybe 15-20% at least. I know it's a lot, but like literally, he's way stronger now than he was when he was 139. And Valen actually wants to pull 154, not 170. So win or lose this match, Valen will probably get a match with a 70 kilo guy afterwards. Maybe I'd like to see him pull Joseph Moranto. I think that'd be a good match. Unfortunately, I'm cheering for Valen though, even though I should be cheering for the Americans because Valen is like my buddy. But he's putting his best foot forward, doing the best he can. But I think Knopf is just too strong, too quick. And if it does turn into a war, Hunter does have good endurance too. So I wouldn't say just because it stops that Hunter's going to lose. But I think he's too strong and won't even stop. I'd say a strong favorite to Hunter on that one. We have Andrei Sharkovich versus Arsen Kachatrin. I'm not sure I say it last name. These guys only pulled once before. That was last summer in a round robin, 220 pounds. This one's at 230. That was 220. And that time Arsen won. Shark won. Arsen took second. It was a round robin. And Shark won pretty convincingly. But that was only one match, one time. Maybe Arsen could figure something out. For those that don't know Arsen, he moved to USA from Russia. He's actually Armenian, but he lived in Russia, and he moved to the USA maybe a year ago, and maybe a little more than a year ago. And when he pulled AMC at 95 kilos, 210, he was top 3, top 4 a couple times, and even has a win on Zara Pezalayev in the overall. I have to pick Shark just because he beat him last summer. But then in my mind, I'm like, well, maybe Arsen just needs to figure him out and all that. But not taking anything away from Bogdan, but Arsen then did lose to Bogdan too in December last year. And Bogdan's good. Bogdan's real good, but I don't think Bogdan's on Shark's level because Bogdan just had a super close match with Jason Merlo. And I don't think Jason Merlo's on Shark's level either. So I got to give Shark the edge in this one. But on the other hand, Shark did lose to Adam Warzinski. And nothing against Warzinski. He might be close with Arsen, I think. But like that then makes me think too that maybe Arsen has a chance. Maybe if it comes down to endurance or something, Shark might not be quite as good in super matches as he is in tournaments or round robins. But I'd have to give Shark the edge just because I think he's a bit stronger. We have Sarah Bachman versus Jocelyn Brisson. So I didn't know Jocelyn before May last year, but then in May she beat Sarah in a round robin. Pretty convincingly, I'd say, and that was for first place. Sarah was number 1 in North America from the time she moved here in like 2012 or 13 until she lost to Jocelyn. So now Jocelyn's ranked number 1 deservingly, and Sarah's number 2. So this is the match for number 1 in North America. Sarah's an 8-time world champion. She has a lot more experience than Jocelyn. I listened to the interviews. Sarah's training very hard and is very confident. I actually had the privilege to train with Sarah twice last month when I was in Florida on vacation. And from training with her, I can't personally say if she'll win or not because I've never pulled Jocelyn, so I'm not sure what Jocelyn feels like. But I'm not going to give away her game plan, obviously, but Sarah knows where she pulled wrong and has a good game plan for what she's going to do this time. She knows what she needs to do to win. Whether she can pull it off or not is another story. Jocelyn said in her interview that she has been pulling for about 4 or 5 years, but she only started training arm wrestling specific in the gym last summer, so less than maybe 8 months. And I don't know if this is true or not, it seems unlikely, but she said her arm wrestling specific lifts have went up 40%, like her hand and wrist stuff, just since last summer, which if that's true, that's insane. I'm splitting this one because on one hand, I think, okay, Sarah lost last year, but she's training harder this year, not saying that, like, she didn't train last year, but I think she's training harder, very hard for this, and is stronger than she was when she pulled Jocelyn. And even though she lost last year, you know, just a little bit of strength here and there and a different move could make a huge difference. So part of me thinks that she's going to win. And on the other hand, if Jocelyn really got 40% stronger, it's game over. But I don't think that's probably even possible. I'm not saying she's lying. It's just probably like noob gains on those exercises, like technique things and stuff. Gun to my head, I'd probably have to go Jocelyn, but I'm like 50-50 on that one. I think if Sarah can get a stop in the right spot, that she will wear Jocelyn out. I'm going to go Sarah. I'm going to go against my gut and go Sarah. A slightly biased pick for a change because Sarah's my friend, but I think 3-2 it's going to be very close. Whoever wins, if Sarah wins, I'd like to see her pull Fia, whether it's at 70 or 80 kilos. And if Jocelyn wins, she deserves to pull Egla. We have Cody Merritt versus Evgeny Prudnik. This is a big weight difference. Evgeny's like 240, 250 probably, like around 110, maybe 115 kilos. And Cody's a lot heavier. This is an interesting match. I think that if Prudnik shows up in the form he's been in the last few matches, off cycle, I think Cody has a good chance to win, but I'm just speculating, but based off pictures and videos I've seen, I think Prudnik looks big again. I speculate he's going to come in very strong. Cody's got a really good top roll, and he could maybe take Prudnik's hand, but if it turns into a hook, Prudnik will win. Maybe not easily. If Prudnik stops him in the losing side, he might have to work to pull him back. If he gets Cody on his bicep in the hook, then I think he'll win more comfortably. I'm really cheering for Cody because he's an awesome dude. I'd have to give the slight edge to Prudnik. I'd say 55%, maybe 60% to Prudnik. But I think Cody can make it a match. This next one is one of the ones I'm most excited for. Craig Tullier versus John Theron. A year ago, if you'd asked me, maybe even 6 months ago, I would have said, well, John's good, but obviously Craig wins. But every time I see John, I'm like, he's better and better and better. And he beat Brandon Alcessa earlier this year, and that surprised me. I knew John was awesome, but I thought that he wouldn't have much chance against Brandon. Really surprised me. John's coming in confident. Craig seems confident too. Really, it's the old guard versus the new guard, right? And this is for, or at least is billed as for, the #1 spot in North America at 85 kilos, 187 pounds. I do hope that David Egian gets a chance at one of these guys someday, because like really there's 3 guys, these two and Egian, they've never met each other, and they all have a strong case for being #1. So yeah, John and Craig. I think Craig's quicker and he could win quick. I think if the match stops, that John will probably win. Not easily though, but John is just such a warrior at the table, and if it stops, he can pull forever and he can pull in any position. I think Craig's probably just a little bit stronger. I'm cheering for John, but I'd have to give the slight edge to Craig, like 55-45, 60-40. I think it could go either way. I do think that John is the future of North America at this weight. I just don't know if he's quite there yet. But I'm glad to see them pulling, because I'm really interested to see it. Matt Mask versus Angarbayev. On paper, Angarbayev is probably the favorite, but he just had a surgery and is coming back. Not just, it was probably like a year ago, maybe 9 months at least. So the question is he as strong as he used to be? I actually see a lot of people picking Matt. I actually probably would pick Matt, but last time Angarbayev came back from surgery, he pulled John Brzenk, and I thought John was a significant favorite, and he lost. So from that, I think that Angarbayev is the kind of guy that he won't come back and pull after surgery unless he's actually ready and like near or at his best already. So I think that he will be coming very, very strong, at least 95% of his peak form. And I doubted Angarbayev before, so I won't doubt him again. I do think Angarbayev is probably better against hookers than top rollers, and Matt is better against top rollers, because it's hard to top roll Matt because his arm's so long and his hand's so big and strong, hand and wrist. He's hard to top roll, so I think that he might get some height on Angarbayev outside the straps, but in the straps, I think Angarbayev is probably a little bit stronger, so I'd give the slight edge to Angarbayev. And if it goes down to a war, I think Angarbayev might have slight more endurance. Yanis Emolians versus Mindaugas Terasaitis. This is one of the ones I'm most excited to see. I've wanted to see this for a while. If you asked me a year or two ago, I would think that Mindy was the heavy favorite. But now looking at the Justin Bishop matches, where Justin Bishop said he was in better shape and other people that have trained with him also said he was in better shape versus Justin, or versus Giannis, than what he was against Mindy. Justin lost to both guys, but in both cases, it was 3-2. So in both cases, Justin was right there with these guys, and he was in better shape for the Giannis match. And Giannis seems very motivated, and I think he's in good shape. He says he has some little bit nagging pains here and there, but I feel like overall he's going to come in very strong. He wouldn't take this match if he wasn't in very good shape, because he knows the level Mindy's at. Giannis is very smart, and he knows the level Mindy's at. I think that Mindaugas has more hand control and back pressure than Giannis, but Giannis has more side pressure. I could see Mindaugas taking Giannis' hand, so Giannis is over here, but Giannis holds him in a fairly neutral position and goes sideways. There's a potential for Giannis to get hurt doing that. I know Giannis historically is one not to get hurt. He very rarely has got hurt in his career, but he did have an injury against Justin that seems seemingly healed now, but just because he was injured before, I give him a more likely chance to get hurt again. I would go with Mindy, but Justin or Giannis, I'm not positive on this, but I feel like he said this before, and in my memory, it would be true also. I don't know. I think he's very rarely, if ever, lost a super match, because even if he loses one round, he's so smart, he can figure out a way to come back. Almost, not saying he's John Brzenk, but he's almost similar to the John Brzenk from his prime days, in the sense that he can lose a match and then make an adjustment or figure something out and come back. And Mindy's endurance is incredible, but Giannis probably is equal with him in endurance. I could see this going either way, to be honest. I'm going to give the slight edge to Mindy. I think the first match might be somewhat easy for Mindy. Somewhat. I'm not saying it'll be a slam. And then Giannis will make an adjustment, and from that point on, it will be a war, and it could go either way. Very slight edge to Mindy. Alright, we have Mindaugas Terrasitis on the other arm versus Hunter Knopf's newly added match. I think it's confirmed. I'm not positive. I'm really excited to see this one because this is my weight class. Hunter's left is really strong too. It's probably close to his right, but I think Mindy's got to be the huge favorite. Mindy is possibly the hardest person in the world in this weight class. Maybe not left-handed, but for sure top 3, top 4 hardest to turn into a hook. And I think if Hunter can't turn Mindy into a hook, I don't see him winning. If he does get Mindy all the way deep inside, I think he has a very good chance to win, because Mindy doesn't have a very good hook. But I think Mindy will control his hand and control the match. Look at Hunter Knopf versus Justin Bishop. I think Mindy pulls similar to Bishop, but has more back pressure and pronation, so he'll be able to take the hand where Justin was not. But I am really interested to see this one. It'll be a huge win if Hunter wins this one. I'm not sure if this will happen, but I'd love to see Eli Seidel get the winner of this match, because Hunter said he thinks he's #1 in North America. He's allowed to think that, but Eli is ranked #1 in the USA anyways on the Arm Fighter rankings. Deservedly so, because he won the round robin last year left-handed where everyone was there. And I'd like to see Eli get a crack at... I think the winner of this would be fitting, because he deserves a match at this level. Next, we have Dave Chafee versus Georgi Svetkov. This one I'm really interested to see. I feel like initially I thought a lot of people were going to count Chafee out, but I see a lot of people think it could go either way. Chafee, the last couple of years, obviously when Chafee's at his best, he is insanely strong. One of the best side pressures ever. But the last couple of years, he's looked a little bit subpar. The last good match he had, in my opinion, was against Hermes, until recently. And that was like the end of 2022 or 3. I think the end of 2022. I can't remember anymore, but after that, he didn't look quite himself. But lately, he's looked really strong. The guy that Dave Chafee beat at the last King of the Table, I think people are really underestimating the Gabber Boca debut, or whatever his name was. Chafee completely, didn't even really feel him. Like, he completely dominated him. And I don't think that many people, that guy's not top 15 probably, but I don't think very many people outside of the top 10 could beat Gabor as easily as Dave Chafee did. I think Chafee, he says he's feeling really good right now, and his most recent match confirms that to me. I think he's in really good shape again. But Frank Lamparelli did take Dave Chafee's hand in the third round of their match, and that was 2 matches ago for Dave Chafee. So I think Gorgie will eventually take Dave Chafee's hand, whether it's the first round or not, I'm not sure. And Dave Chafee has a flop wrist press, but Gorgie said that even Jerry Catterett really struggled to beat him with the flop wrist press, and even though Chafee's flop wrist press is strong, it's not at Jerry's level. So I think that in the end, I would have to go with Gorgie. I'm really cheering for Dave Chafee in this one. I think it's going to be really close. Dave historically doesn't have a great gas tank. It's looked a lot better lately, but I still can't see it being on the level of Gorgie. Look at Gorgie's match with Sergey Kalashnikov. I think this match might go similar to that. I think Chafee's a little bit stronger than Sergey. Maybe, very slightly, but maybe not quite as technical. Obviously, if Chafee's at his best, very best, I think he's more than a little bit stronger than Kalashnikov, but I'm guessing he's not quite in like 2013-14 shape. I'm guessing, but he might be close to as strong as he's been in the last 5 years. I think Gorgie's going to win, but I think it'll be like 3-1 to 3-2. I think it's going to be one of the best matches of the night. And then we have Devin Larratt versus Corey West left-handed. This is Devin's first serious match left-handed in a couple of years. He says he's been training hard. He says his left's, in at least certain exercises, he says his left's not that far away from his right. If that's true, he should win pretty easily, I think. But I think it's not going to be easy. Most people online are saying that Devin's going to win. Pretty much almost everyone is. And a lot of people are saying it's going to be dominant. I could see him being dominant in the later rounds after he wears Corey out. But I think the early rounds are going to be hard. Granted, I said the same thing with the Leonidas match, and I was dead wrong. Dead wrong. It was a very poor prediction, but obviously Corey West is way stronger than Leonidas left-handed or right-handed. Corey, a lot of people I feel like underestimate him. They think he's bad, but like I think he's ranked in the top 10. I think he's for sure somewhere in the top 15, if not the top 10, because he got a win on Camille. Even though he lost the super match, he won a round, and he got a couple of wins on Tobias. And these guys are legitimate top 6 to top 8 guys. I think Corey wins the first match and loses the rest. I think he's going to lose 3-1, but I think he's going to put up a good fight. I'm cheering for Corey West. Go Corey West, but I think Devin's the heavy favorite here. And if Devin wins, I know he wants a shot at Alajon. I think you should pull someone else first, though. This is a good starter match for his climb up on the lefts. If he loses, his journey might be over already. I'd like to see him pull Tobias. I'm not sure if that match makes sense. It doesn't not make sense, but before he pulls Alajon, I feel like, I don't know if he's going to drop to 115, maybe, but I think he should pull someone else in the 115s, like Medashenko maybe, or Reno left-handed. Those would be good matches. And then if he wins that one, maybe then he can deserve a match with Alajon, or the loser of Alajon to Deacon if they pull. The last match, John Brzenk versus Yoshi Kanai. Most people think Yoshi's going to win. I do too. But styles make matches. If you look at John versus Todd Hutchings and then Yoshi versus Todd Hutchings, you could say, well, Yoshi's got to be the heavy favorite. But style-wise, Todd Hutchings, I think Yoshi's style is just hard for Todd Hutchings. Because he can't beat a flop wrist press. He has trouble pinning it because of his style and his arm length. But John doesn't have that trouble. John knows how to pull Yoshi very well. He's pulled him many times, and he knows what to do to win. Get him in the losing position, stretched out a bit, and then come up and press. Todd Hutchings doesn't have the press. John does. But I still think that it's going to be a hard match, and eventually I can't see John winning the long match because endurance. Yoshi's got incredible endurance, and John's endurance is a bit subpar. Granted, he's 60. He's amazing. He's the GOAT. Say what you want. He is the GOAT, in my opinion. And I think eventually he'll wear out. I hope he can win a couple. I'm going to give him one pin maybe, but I'm going to say in the end 3-1. But I don't think it's impossible for John to win just because he knows what to do. I think it is possible for him to win. So to go over my picks again really quick, I'll give percentages. Cody Wood versus Joseph Moranto, number 1 and number 3, and USA at 154, but it's at 170. I go 70% chance for Wood. If Moranto can stop it, he can win in the war, though. Knopf versus Valen Lowe. I'm cheering for Valen Lowe. I've known him for a long time, but I think Knopf is the heavy favorite. I'd say like 90%, to be honest. But hopefully Lowe gets a chance at a good 154-pounder after that. Andre Shark versus Arson. I'm going to go Shark, but I'll say 60%. Maybe Arson can do something with his hand and bleed him out. Bachman versus Brisson. Either Bachman's going to be able to stop it, find the lane, and bleed her out in the war, or Brisson's just too strong. I say like 51% for Sarah Bachman. Cody Merritt versus Prudnick, cheering for Merritt. If Prudnick's how he was in the last couple matches, I think Merritt will win, but I think Prudnick's back on the sauce, and I think 60% for Prudnick, but a war. Craig Tully over John Theron versus 60%, I'd say, to 40. But if John can stop it, his form looks massive, and he can pull forever, so if he can stop it, I think he can maybe win. Hungerbayev over Matt Mask. I'll go 65%. Mindaugas over Yanis. I say 51%. Mindy has more back pressure. Yanis has more side pressure. Then we have Mindaugas versus Under Knopfs. 80% for Mindy. Just too much hand control, I think. If it goes in the hook, Knopfs has a good chance, but too much hand control for Mindy. Chafee versus Gorgie. Chafee will make it a war, maybe get a pin or two, but Gorgie will bleed him out. I say 65% for Gorgie. Devin versus Corey West. I think Corey gets a pin, but Devin bleeds him out and wins in the end, 31. I go 80% for Devin. And then Yoshi over Brzank. I'm not 100% sold on that, even though originally I thought that Yoshi was a huge favorite. I think it's not huge. I'll say this might be more biased towards John, but I say 65% towards Yoshi. It could be 70, but I'll say 65.